Hello, welcome back to our ELIF channel for our second lesson in Python. And in this lesson, we will use the if cases. First of all, let me show you how to write comments. Generally, to write down some comments in programming is very important because later on, when we will write more complicated programs with more commands and more program lines, more coding, then it will be very useful to write down some notes to help us understand why we have written anything. So if we want to write down comments in when we are programming in Python, there are two ways. First of all, if we want to write one line as a comment, then we use the hashtag symbol. So we type anything we like. It's a plain text. It is never interpreted. It doesn't affect the program at all. For example, I type the word yesterday. So this is a comment. I can type anything I like, and that does not affect my program. So I use the hashtag symbol for one line of comments, or I type 3 times that symbol, and it starts with 3, what we call apostrophe, 3 times in a row that symbol, and I have to close the comment the same way, and in between I can type as a comment as many lines of comments as I like. So I will use that way to write a comment, to write down a title like an exercise we're going to do today to find out how we're going to use the if cases. So let's say, for example, that we want to write a program that will read the grade of a student, and then it will show on the screen if the student has passed the exam or not. The borderline is grade 5, so that means that if he writes a grade which is 5 or higher, then he has passed the exam, else that means that he has failed. So we start with a variable, let's name it grade, which refers to the grade of the student. So grade is equal to, let's say that this is an integer, so int input, and a text, please type the grade of a student. So now I want to check the grade if it's 5 or higher. So I use the if case. I type if grade is greater or equal to number 5, then I use that symbol to, instead of typing then, enter. And when I type enter and I go to the next line, in Python it is very important to where to type anything. So if I want to type something and that something I want it to be inside the if case, I cannot type it there. It is very important to type it exactly on that position the cursor is right now. So if grade is greater or equal to 5, then print the student has passed the exam. And then I can use an else case. When I use else, I do not have to type the case again to check whether it is true or false, because following the if case, it definitely means that now the grade is lower than 5. So else I type directly print the student has failed. So if I run my program now, see, it says please type the grade of the student from our input text. Okay, let's say I type 7. So the student has passed the exam. I run the program again. Please type the grade of the student, and now I type 3. So the student has failed. So let's make our program provide more information. We do not want only to show whether the student has passed the exam or not, but as well as this, we want to show a comment of how well he has done to the exam. For example, if the student, if the grade of the student, I'm writing this inside the comment block, so that won't affect my program at all. If the grade of the student is between 9 and 10, then I'd like to show on the screen the excellent text, and then between let's say 6 and 8, very good. And if it's exactly 5, then you have reached the borderline. Or else, if it's lower than 5, lower than 5 means the student has failed. So how do I write this program in Python? I start with the case now that the student fails. So if grade is lower than 5, then that means print the student has failed. Now that I have more than 2 cases, I cannot just use if and else. I need to use ELIF as well. So I type ELIF grade is is equal to 5. So now I use double equal because I compare one value with another. I do not assign a value to a variable where I just type only one equal symbol. Now I type double equal because I make a comparison. So if grade equals 5, then print you have just reached the borderline. ELIF grade is lower or equal to 8. See, I do not have to type two cases, because by the fact that I have already written ELIF and IF, first lower than 5 and then equal to 5, that means that from that point of program and on, definitely the grade is over 5, so I just type lower or equal to 8. Print. Very good. And then I can use an else, which means now that it is definitely greater than 8, so it's 9 or 10, so print. Excellent. Let's check this out. I run the program. If I type, for example, 3, then the student has failed. I run it again. 5, you have just reached the borderline. Now I type 7, and this is between 6 and 8, so very good. And if I type 10, for example, then excellent. So this is how we use the if case. I combine it with an else case if I have 2 possibilities, and for extra possibilities, for more cases, 3+, I use the ELIF command. Thank you very much for watching. On the next lesson, we will move on to while case.